Welcome back to part 2A of property. Lynn did all the legal in the last video, and so today let's just quickly review and have this short little video on property. What is important to you in a piece of property? So we're still here at on location at French Baker in Clark, Anglaise. So searching for property, it can be daunting. Facebook Marketplace is probably going to be the #1 place that you're going to be searching. Get a hold of a few people that live in the area, but don't make the mistake that I did. If you've got a Filipina in your life, let her do all the talking because the prices go up, okay? So think about that part. It's important that all that dialogue happens, and even when you get to a piece of property and discussion needs to happen, I would strongly suggest having somebody else there to do all the communication. A lot can get lost in translation, and sometimes they can be easily offended when, you know, you may be throwing a little sarcasm in or whatever, and they're not taking it the right way, okay? So that's my suggestion, okay? And we found that very helpful in the long term, was for me to step aside, wander around, and just have a look at the property, right? So what did we look for? Well, in the tropics, we have this thing of living on the beach. In one location, we found a beautiful lot. It was elevated off the ocean, but unfortunately the whole property and everything was nothing but a massive coral reef, and pushed up out of the ocean millennia ago. But the problem was there was all these little holes in it. So it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful piece of property. It was nicely elevated, the breeze, all of the thing. It was really, really nice. But the cost to build there was going to be beyond what we wanted to do. A bare piece of land, we can do a lot more with it. So get back to the white sand beach, or the long sloping beach. You always see the guys running along in the morning and such. If you think about those beaches, when you're talking islands like here, what you're often talking about is land that's very, very gradual going inland. And some of these storm surges, when you find out where the high tide is, plus adding the surge to it, the water could be underneath your house. And when I say underneath, I'm meaning you're going to have to raise your house up, right? So think about that when you're doing your beach. You can stand there and it's wonderful and everything. A lot of the property we ran into, there was damaged buildings on it, and it didn't take long to look around and notice very quickly that most of the land was being squatted on. So one land in particular, I counted 8 little shanty houses on it, and so trying to get the people off, kind of not cool, but at the same time, when you stop and think about the building aspect of things and how far the surges go in, even if you're on the leeward side of the island, there was a reason why all these buildings were damaged. The storm surges were coming right up to these houses. And at one point, a little further down the road, we looked at another home or piece of property. And when you were standing down on the beach, the only thing that was keeping the water from going inland was the fact that the highway was there. And they had to put the extra dirt somewhere, and then all these properties were there. Now, another pitfall on buying property here, watch out for property where you're only buying the rights. You got to be careful. Ask them if it's a tax declaration or titled lot. If it's a rights only lot and all of a sudden the highway decides it wants to expand, guess what? They're going to relocate you, but they're not going to give you a white sand beach back. Yeah, so the government often owns these pieces of property, right? So Anyway, so on to farmland. And I'm deliberately saying farmland on purpose because even 200 square meters is considered farmland here, and they often promote it as farmland. Anything that is rural is often deemed as farmland. And as Lyndon mentioned in the last video there, the property that we bought is deemed farmland. So we have to actually, because it's been surveyed out, the city acknowledges this surveying, then they know that somebody's going to want to be able to live on their property. So that's all fine with what we're doing. And the neighbor, of course, has already built their house. You know, we've basically got everything that we need right there. To top off the 1,500 square meters of land that we bought, we have a view of the ocean. Yeah, we got to take down some of the scrub trees that are growing at the beach edge, not the mangroves. Once we get those trimmed down, we're going to have a nice view of the ocean. I've already put the camera out there to have a look, so you can check out that video too. So take your time though on finding property. If Mary Lou and Uli are listening, you can ask them. It took them over a year to find a piece of property. Okay. Because you know, for many of us foreigners, it's not just about the community, or not just about the land. There has to be a little bit of a community there for you too. And in the San Remigio Bogo area, there is a fair number of expats living there. Might not get along with a lot of them, but you know, it doesn't matter. You've got some that you can run into. But for me, the ultimate thing on finding a community was, where's the nearest public beach that you know that beach is not going to go away when somebody decides to sell it. And the Bogo San Remigio area has got a beautiful beach with the barbecue. Check out that video too. And whereas up in Danbantayan, it actually had the lot that I preferred far and away. But it was just that little bit further distance to go to Cebu. That wasn't going to be a deal breaker, but no public beach in that area. Zip, zero, nada. Lots of accesses to the beach. Doesn't mean that you're going to be able to use it in the long term though. Okay? So things to think about when you're buying land in the Philippines. Things to consider. Take some time, look around, always check your YouTube videos, make sure that you can spool them, because you are going to want internet, etc., etc. And then whatever your pace of life is, that's what you got to be looking for. Okay, enjoy your day, guys. This ends part 2A of property. Enjoy.